Hi, I'm Ben,
And I'm Zach.
And I'm Caleb.
and welcome to the Swiss Army Vault. Today we are reviewing Swiss Army Man, which for some reason I think I called Swiss Army Knife on my doc. No, I didn't. But this is a movie directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, so two Daniels, in the year, I believe it was 2016, and it grossed $5.8 million to a $3 million budget with a Rotten Tomato score of 71%. Zach, what did you think of this movie?
This is a movie about a real jack of all trades, or could you say Zach of all trades?
A
Because my
little
name's Zach.
little business plug there.
Selfless plug. Selfless plug is above
Yeah.
myself.
Yes. And so yeah, there's a lot to dig into here. But first we have to give this a a watch botch or top notch before we get going on our full thoughts of this. This is an interesting one when it comes to these three categories. Take it away, Zach.
Well, first I'd like to say this is probably, if not the weirdest, the second weirdest movie I've ever watched, just right next to The Lobster. And I really liked it, actually. Just spoiler alert, I really liked it. So I'm going to give this a watch. It's definitely not a top notch. Like, if I didn't watch this, I would still be a happy human being. But it's definitely a watch. Like, I would recommend watching it if you want to, like, explore some weird scenarios.
Sorry, guys, we had a little bit of technical difficulties in our recording because we are not in person yet again this episode. So we were when we before we stopped the recording, we had been at Caleb's botch watcher top notch, and probably what was happening is that the Wi-Fi is repulsed by the sound of Caleb's voice and does not want to hear him, so it disconnected. So they didn't have to go through that, but we want you to go through that as a listener. So take it away, Caleb.
Okay, so I am very surprised that Zach had a movie that he had seen that's weirder than this, because I certainly have not. This is easily the weirdest movie I've ever seen, but I really enjoyed it. Like, really enjoyed it. So I would say watch. Wouldn't
All
say
right.
top notch, but watch.
Yeah,
In between, maybe.
I agree with you guys full-heartedly. This is a watch because the experience is very strange and it's completely unique from anything you'll ever watch. I will say I have definitely seen weirder movies. Zach mentioned The Lobster, and Eraserhead is definitely a lot weirder than this movie. So if you want to watch something even stranger than this, but start with this maybe before you venture out into that territory. But yeah, I think we all agree that this is just a fascinating movie to listen to. So now we have to get into the plot, which is a little bit confusing, but also pretty straightforward for the most part. And Caleb's gonna tell us how the movie goes.
Okay, so in the movie it starts out this guy, he's stranded on an island, and he's about to kill himself. He's about to hang himself, and he's about to do it, but then he sees a man washed up on shore, and the man appears to be dead, but this is kind of interesting, but the man keeps farting. And that's how it all starts. Like, the man keeps farting, and he uses them to propel him off the island and onto the mainland. So, and he describes it later as like riding a jet ski, which I thought was kind of accurate. Yeah, so it starts out like that, and so the whole movie, the guy is trying to find his way back home. Well, they both are technically, and as they go on throughout the movie, what's their names?
It's Hank and Manny.
Hank and Manny. Hank and Manny are trying to find their way back home, and Hank is the guy that's alive, and Manny is like this dead guy that he's bringing back to life through helping him remember different things in life. And Manny is helping him get back home by being sort of a tool, and Hank uses him for things like a water fountain, a compass, a a gun. He used them to hunt animals. He would stick things down his throat and just shoot them out of his mouth. And stuff like that occurs throughout the movie. And Hank and Manny become friends. Like, they become really good friends. And you want to take it from here?
Yeah, they become good friends. Eventually, they cut to the chase. Like, he teaches Manny a lot of different things about the world, and he's like Manny's learning all these things because he can't remember his past, what his life was. And so yeah, they just kind of go along, learn new things. He dresses up as a girl to get Manny to try to remember this girl named Sarah, who was on supposedly Manny's phone, like his screensaver. And they do a lot of different scenarios, like they're on a bus and he's trying to sit next to her and talk to her, and or they're dancing, or they're at a party, or something of the sort. And eventually you learn that when they're at a campfire and they realize like they're actually friends now, you know. And then a bear comes, and what's the main character's name? I'm so dumb. Hank. Okay, I'm not gonna forget. Hank finds out, he sees a cargo by, or a truck, and he realizes that he's on the mainland, like he's close by. And then he goes back to the campfire. There's a bear attack. He bites Hank's leg, and so then he realizes like Manny is actually his good friend. And then Manny's like wondering what is life. He's having all these deep questions, like why should people hide their farts from each other? What's the problem with that? And it's hilarious. And then they go to the mainland and they like scare this family, but it's actually Sarah's family, because Manny takes Hank, when Hank is sleeping, to Sarah's house, but she already has a husband and a little girl. And then there's news people there to find them, and all the world is kind of just reacting to them at that time, like what is happening. And then you realize that I don't know if it's up for interpretation, but I think, then correct me if you think that I'm wrong, like that Manny could have possibly been dead the whole time.
Yeah,
like,
I think that's one of the interpretations you could have.
Because nobody sees Hank alive. Nobody sees Manny alive. Everybody knows that he's dead. They put him in a body stretcher, and then Hank takes him out of the body stretcher, takes him back to the beach, and like lets him fart off into the sea.
Yes, and it kind of ends the same way that the movie started, with the whole farting thing. And definitely, I would say this movie is one of the more takes farting the most seriously of any movie I've ever watched. Like, yes, it uses it for joke purposes, but it's also like it also uses it to set up like questions about life, which definitely sets it apart from other movies.
Why do we hide our farts from each other?
Yeah, why is that embarrassing? Everybody farts. Like they made a book called Everybody Poops that he references in the movie. But why didn't they make one called Everyone Farts too? I guess. Also, we didn't really mention, but Caleb is back with us. He introduced himself sort of at the start, but he was on our very popular Basic White Girls in the Fall episode, and now he's joining us for the very first time on a movie review podcast. And I made a few jokes about him, but we're really glad that he's here. And he picked out this movie, actually. So,
I did.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
He picked a very out there one.
I've actually never seen this movie either. Disclosure. I
actually
really wanted to see it. So
would you have picked it, Caleb, if you had already seen it?
Honestly, yeah.
It's a good movie to do on a podcast. I don't know. It just kind of has that.
It is.
Yeah, that vibe. The quote of the movie we picked out was when Daniel Radcliffe's character, who from Harry Potter fame, Daniel Radcliffe, Manny says to Hank, "You're broken and empty and dirty and smelly and useless and old. You're like trash, right?" And this is at the point in the movie where he's just starting to realize, or trying to like figure out things and learn what Hank is telling him. And he's like sort of repeating things back to Hank. And Hank's like, no, that's not it. You can't just say everything that goes through your head. But he's kind of gets to Hank a little bit there too. Hank is a very sensitive guy, which might be why he ended up stranded on an island. But unfortunately, not everybody reacted so positively to this movie. There always has to be a pessimist among us. And in this case, in our outsider review, Kate Muir from the Times UK, those English people, a lot harder to please. She gave this a 2 out of 5, saying, "You have to hand it to David Radcliffe for being willing to try anything for his art, but playing a fart-powered corpse in Swiss Army Man was perhaps a step too far." And it's interesting to think about the fact that Daniel Radcliffe played Harry Potter for 8 years of his life, I believe, from when he was like 11 to 19, and then that's sort of like I think that was like 8 movies. It was a big deal, and then he's kind of out of that, and he's like, okay, what do I do now? And he I'm assuming he could have done a bunch of movies, and I'm assuming he didn't get paid a lot for this movie either, with the budget being $3 million. So, he was just doing it because he wanted to, and he picked this one. But he did a very good job. Spoilers for the acting category. But if you ever if you ever find yourself stranded on a deserted island, you might want some insurance. I don't know whether you can get insurance for that, because I don't know how you would get in touch with your insurance provider. But insurance is important to keep you protected. And we recommend you check out Hedman Anglin Agency. HAA is known for saving people money on auto, home, and business insurance, and they would love to help you out on any of those needs that you may have. So call 614-486-7300 if you have any interest at all. That's 614-486-7300. And if you do contact them, make sure to tell them that Ben and Zach sent you and saved you from dying on a deserted island as well. Because we're those kind of people.
We were the corpses.
Yes.
That propelled you across the water.
Into the opening scene is with the title scene, actually, is one of the coolest and weirdest scenes, where he's just riding on Daniel Radcliffe. And I'm just like, if the first time you watch it, you're just like, what is happening right now? But you can't look away.
Yeah. The opening scene, Ben and I were on the phone, and I was like, this is the weirdest opening scene. I was like, what is happening right now? It was kind of weird, but I don't know. It was just like a bunch of things floating in the water, and then it showed this dead corpse, and it's just like he kept farting, and it's just like a 8-minute thing of you just watching this corpse fart, and it was. Yeah, that's it. What do you think, Hill?
And I was sitting there just laughing like so hard at certain points. Like, did you see me? Like, I was literally crying laughing at certain points.
Yeah, he had some tears coming up.
Which is it just shows kind of like, yeah, I might not be the most mature person, but I mean, that's my type of humor. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, actually, there were a few parts of that, even though I've watched this before, that made me laugh out loud. Even though I'm not the most reactionary person, and I'm not even with anybody right now while I was watching it, but I still, I was with Zach over the phone, but we had our mics muted most of the time. But there's a few times I turned it on and I was just laughing. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. I just laughed. Let's see. So now we can get to.
That is true. You did unmute your mic one time to just laugh.
I just wanted you to know that I was enjoying myself.
That's okay. It made me laugh. Don't worry.
Yeah. All right. So now we can get into our 10-point rating system. It still has no name. And also, oh wait, before I forget, so my sister bought me the first article of Movie Vault merch ever created over Christmas. That was her Christmas present to me. So shout out to Mary Kate for getting me that. It was probably the best Christmas gift I got this year. It was pretty cool.
Dang.
And
good job, Mary Kate.
Yeah. And Shelby, once again, she took the picture that is on the sweatshirt. So if you see a guy walking around with a sweatshirt that has a picture of his face on it, it also has Zach on it, but you might not recognize him, then you know it's me. So
no, or it could be one of our many, many, many fans.
Yeah, now we're getting.
If you're in Japan, you'll probably see many people with those.
Yes, that's true, and we've gotten lots of requests for hoodies and merch and such, And so we are probably going to make it one of our goals into the new year to try to figure out some way to get some merch out there for those of you who might be interested. So that's a pretty cool thing before we get
Movie Vault underwear coming out 2021.
2021. Yeah, we're going to make next year the best year and the most comfortable year for you.
Oh yeah, it'll fit perfectly.
Yep.
All the curvatures of all the different types of humans.
Yeah. And no, never mind.
Yeah, just like the things that we're probably going to have to avoid in this movie, we should probably avoid that continuing this conversation. So what's
Yes.
next, Ben?
All right. So for our 10-point scale, we always start with sentiment. How much did you sentimentally like this movie? Go Zach. Yeah.
I think that so I laughed a lot in this movie, and comedy for me is life. So I think that I gave it a 7 because I really enjoyed, like, thoroughly sentimentally watching this movie. What about you, Caleb?
I gave it a 6. Not really sure why. I guess I just enjoyed it enough, and I didn't want to give it a low rating just because, like, it's not really sentimental to me. It didn't, like, mean a lot to me, but I enjoyed it enough to the point where, yeah, I guess, like, it can mean something to me, like, maybe later, like, so
Yeah.
I gave it a 6.
I also gave it a 6, and I watched it twice. I might have liked it a tad bit better this time, but as I was, like, noticing some of the messages, but still, I don't know. It's just not a movie that I would really come back to, I don't think. Like, I thought it was weird, and I thought it was funny, but I'm not sure that I would, like, come back to this unless somebody was like, I really want to watch Swiss Army Man, and then I might, like, happen tonight. But yeah, 6. Message.
I gave Message a 6, and mainly because it took me a while to, like, maybe it was too deep for me, but maybe it was too deep for me. That's all I have to say. I don't know. It was confusing.
Yeah, I'd say the farting message was really good. Like, honestly, like, why do we have to hide our farts? Like, why? Like, why is it such a big deal? I think it should be opened, and yeah, I think people should fart
And celebrate it.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
you're right. Now people are always like, "Ooh, that's gross. You shouldn't do that in
Yeah, what
front
the
of
heck is
people." But that's, like, immature. But everyone does it, and whether they try
Yeah.
to do it quietly, I think I trained my body to, be a sort of silent farter. But is that what we need in this world?
Should we train ourselves to do something that's against our, like, biological, fart instinct,
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
created
just for
that way.
societal norms? Yeah. Is this the way that we were raised in society?
Yeah.
We're supposed to suppress something like that?
So what was your number score for this after the farting revelation?
Okay, I gave it a 5 just because, like, that part was so good, but then, like, I felt like a lot of the other messages kind of, like, diminished that message, so I kind of just evened it out. So I just gave it a 5 in the middle.
All right.
If
Yeah,
not for some of the other messages, I'd give it a much higher message score.
Yeah, I gave it a 6, just like Zach. I think there's actually a lot here, but I think it was confusing how they presented there's a lot of, like, oh, this guy experienced a lot of trauma, and he's using this dead body who, I don't know, it's left up to interpretation whether the body is real or imagined, but I don't know, it's just a lot of work to try to figure out what it means, and I don't know whether it really
We're
is
too lazy to figure it out. So if someone gave it a 9 or a 10 out there, please email us or whatever, because we're too lazy to figure out the true meaning of it. So
Yeah, and it seems like the message, as much as, like, the farting whole thing is funny, and I get its relevancy to real life, it is sort of it's hard to take it as serious still if you're trying to be like, wow, this movie is so deep and meaningful, and then, like, there's a guy farting for half the time. Like, I don't know. It's a hard. I will give them kudos for trying to do that, but it is a hard line to go on. Let's see. What's our next category? Plot, which we talked about sort of already. I gave
Oh,
it.
sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Zach.
I'm sorry. I kind of gave it a high score. So I gave it. I'll just say I gave it a 7. I think that it was an interesting plot and it kept my interest. I don't think it was executed like perfectly, obviously, as you said, because they were put in a lot of weird situations that kind of like diminished the meaning of the movie. But I think like him kind of like finding himself. I don't know. There was a lot of cool things that I thought the plot was interesting. It was just maybe that's more originality, but I give it a 7.
Yeah, I failed to find the plot here. Like, I just didn't think there was much of one. It definitely kept my interest, and like after watching the whole movie through, I guess I could find something. But I feel like they just kind of went off just whatever. Like as they went through the filming of this movie, like they just kind of went off their instinct and kind of built it as they went along, I guess. So I gave it a 4.
Wow. I gave it a 6. Yeah, I can kind of see both of you. I don't know. I just don't. I don't. The ending didn't really sit super well with me. And yeah, I mean, it's not that
The whole thing with his dad, like at the end, his dad just shows up, and then he's like he looks to his dad for affirmation to continue like being friends with the dead body, and his dad like shakes his head yes at him, like
And
nods to
that's
him.
like-
he hasn't seen
Yeah.
his dad in years. They only like how, and then he goes to his dad for affirmation to like continue playing with this dead body, like. What was that? And then like his dad's like smiling as like he's like making his body fart into the sea, like, and it was supposed to be like a serious moment.
Starts laughing.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like a serious moment, or I don't even know. I don't know.
This is, I mean, it's entire, that was like the entire, that like made up for his entire poor relationship for his father, which we kind of got the sense that his father wasn't like the greatest guy because he was, calling him some names that aren't exactly culturally acceptable to say anymore. And at the end, he kind of stood up to his dad and was like, "Dad, don't say that." But, that was at the point where he was like levitating above on like a different plane of existence than the other people, and they were just confused. Like the girl that he's like in love with, who is now married and
Sarah.
never was interested in him at all. She let out a couple of expletives several times, which might be what everybody watching the movie was also saying. But yeah, I mean, the ending didn't. It sort of tied. I mean, I'm as big a fan of ambiguous endings as anybody, and I think if they tried to make this movie make sense, it would be worse than how they ended it now. But I don't know. It's just, yeah. Anyway, it was a 6. It just is.
They need to make a second movie, Swiss Army Woman. That'd be good.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta balance.
That'd be-
Maybe that would
Tina
be about
Fey?
Tina Fey. Maybe that would be about the girl who he liked, who was like, whoa,
Sarah.
and she had like a crisis after watching the whole thing, ended up stranded.
Except they recast her as Tina Fey.
Except no, the dead woman body is Tina Fey.
Oh,
That would be a plot twist.
And-
I would give the plot a higher score if that was the case.
Yeah. So the Daniel team needs to get back together on this. They're not done yet. Character arcs.
okay. So I enjoyed the characters in this movie. I don't think there was a character that I didn't particularly like, because there were only really 2 characters for this whole movie, and you get to learn to kind of love them both. But so I gave it a 6 because I think that it was kind of good. It was kind of cool to see to see Manny kind of learning everything, like coming into himself, and like finally realizing certain things about life. And I thought that was pretty cool. And I thought that Hank's kind of little story arc of like realizing. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know what Hank really realized, besides the fact that like he's closer to the people that he thought, and like that he needs to fix his relationship with his dad. Possibly he maybe learned that, and maybe he learned that like he could have a friend out there if he just puts himself out there, because he wouldn't talk to Sarah on the bus, and then he was like forced to make a new friend through Manny. So maybe he learned that, and I think mainly from Manny's viewpoint, I gave it a 6, and then maybe it would have been higher, but I think Hanks brought it down for me. What about you, Kill?
Yeah, I gave it a 7. I thought it was kind of interesting. Like, you don't know anything about the characters as you start off, but like it's kind of like a gradual. I think like the more into the movie, the more connected you get with the characters. And I thought the phone part was interesting because the whole movie, like Manny thinks that the phone is his and is working towards this girl, but then all of a sudden it comes crashing down and Hank tells him that it's his phone. And in the beginning of the movie, I didn't even know it was Hank's phone. So I guess that made the character arc a little more interesting for me. I'm not sure if like other people, like I might have missed a part, but like I thought it was Manny's phone as well. And so they changed that, and it turned out to be Hank's, and that definitely added something to the character arc. And then, so yeah, and definitely the part, like the more you realize, the more you get into the movie, the more you realize like Hank is kind of not the most social guy. So it's just kind of interesting. So yeah, I give it a 7.
Yeah, I also gave it a 7, and I actually was opposite of Zach. I actually thought that Hank's character arc was more interesting because Hank's character is very much somebody who lacks a lot of self-confidence, and they sort of know all these things are like possibilities in life. He doesn't feel like he deserves them, or that he's not good enough to like even apply himself for these things. So he's quite literally given up. I mean, at the start of the movie, he's like trying to hang himself on life because he doesn't think that he has the capacity. But through Manny, he sort of starts to understand that, wait, I do have the capability of doing this, and Manny's the one showing him. But he sort of betrays Manny's trust, and that starts a conflict between them. But then Manny, sort of realizes that the friendship is important, even if Hank hasn't been completely straight up with him. And then, but I think where it all sort of is like Hank fully is realized as a character at the end of the movie, which he looks completely insane to everybody else, which is interesting, as like this guy is going to end up in an asylum probably, but that is his fully realized character. So that's a little bit confusing, but he's not completely crazy. And I want to point out he is a very good artist with all of his crafts that he makes. They're very intricate. Yeah. And we find out that those are real to some degree, even if Manny is not real, because they find them in the woods.
It's also creepy because they didn't even have to go that far away from the woman's backyard to find all the creepy. That would be so creepy. Yeah,
we have to
finding all those weird things that he made.
We have to get into Britta moments for the whole for that part of the movie. Like, I thought it was strange how quick they got back to the shore.
Yeah, like, that was very strange.
Like, for how long it took him to get to the backyard, how short it took him to get. True. I don't know whether
because they were all just kind of following him and walking down.
I don't know whether that's the same, or maybe it was that he had to go uphill and he was riding down.
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't that far away, and the special compass just brought him in the wrong direction, and he was just going sideways the whole time.
Maybe
for those of you that haven't seen this movie, we're not going to explain what the special compass is, unless you watch and just watch the movie, honestly. But don't let your kids watch it.
Unless you are willing to explain to them some things. Anyway, yeah, this is probably not. It's weird because it is an R-rated movie, but in some ways it seems like very like immature and like, oh, this is sort of. But then in other ways it's like, this is content that is you definitely need to be older. So definitely steer for caution on this one. Let's see. What are we on? We're on cinematography.
Okay. So I thought there was some pretty good shots. I thought my favorite shot of the whole movie was it was when they made that fake bus and they put their hands on each other,
Oh
like on the
yeah.
book. That was a good, like, pretty shot because there's like leaves falling and stuff, and like, and it was just good lighting. It looked like a really good shot. I thought that was a good shot. And then there's a lot of good, like the flashback when he was flashing back to all these different scenes. Those were good shots. So I gave it a 6 overall because I mean it was kind of gloomy and I guess that's what they were going for. But I thought the parts that stuck out were brought it up to a 6. So
I gave it the same thing. I gave it a 6. Just because nothing like really stood out to me. I guess like I can't think of any scene that I was like, oh wow, that's really good film work. But it was pretty good overall. I definitely liked the where they're falling into the water scene. That was definitely an interesting scene and
Oh yeah.
had me laughing. But yeah, I'd say that was probably one of the more intense scenes and required probably some pretty decent cinematography there. And then definitely his bodily functions, I guess, like that had to take some film work. Like I don't know how they did those things, but it was interesting. So I give it a 6 overall.
I gave it a 7. I actually thought for the most part it was pretty well shot, a little bit above average, and then yeah, I think what really stood out to me was all of the sort of scenes where they were like dancing and making all of those creations, doing all those things in the woods. Those were like magical scenes, and
Those were good scenes.
I really liked those, and
the beginning, the montage of him teaching him all those things.
yeah, that was
That was pretty cool. I had some good shots in there.
montages can often be. You'll hear anybody who knows anything about film, and don't even know that much about film, but I've heard lots of people complain about montages being used as like something that is like a holding the film up or like sort of a crutch. But in this film, they use it very well. So anytime a film uses a montage well versus using it as like we can't do anything better, like in The Notebook, for example, I just keep thinking back to how bad that montage was in the middle of The Notebook. But that's beside the point. But yeah, they executed the montage well, and it's just very like it has its own distinct style of cinematography. So
Ben, you know what movie relied a lot on montages?
what?
The Notebook.
On The Notebook, yeah.
Montages. Remember,
Did it really?
The Notebook had like 4 montages.
That's what I just said. I was just.
Oh, I wasn't even
talking.
paying attention. My bad.
Zach
I was
just got.
texting Nikolai. My bad.
Zach just got found out. I was literally said not. It was probably like 30 seconds before you said it. I was like, you know what? The Notebook relies way too much on the montages, and I just think about that all the time. And then Zach wasn't paying attention, but it shows that we're on the same wavelength because Zach was thinking the same thing.
I'm sorry, Ben. I do listen to you. It's just not in that moment. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, oh man, now the listeners are really finding out things. No, I'm just kidding.
They find out that we don't even put much effort into it, or at least I don't. I'm sorry, guys. I owe you more.
All right. Now that my feelings are hurt, no, they're not. I'm just kidding. We're going to originality.
You give it a 10?
Yes.
I also gave it a 10.
Yes, it's so
Look, think about it, Zach.
What about Gulliver's Travels or like I don't know, other stuff? Like they're just stuck on an island.
How? Well, yeah, but this is different. This is the only movie like this that exists.
What about like I know a lot. I can't think of any right now, but I know a lot
the
of movies where there's
structure.
an imaginary friend,
No,
and then
no,
like
the
he has
structure.
this friend throughout the movie.
imaginary.
Well, I mean, like it's kind of he's imagining him being alive.
No, I still think like at the end, I think it hinted to him like actually like bringing him back to life because like everybody saw him fart off into the ocean. So, you know what I mean? Like if everybody saw that, then like there had to be something.
I
Yeah.
think
So, like maybe trying to make people that it's fake, but it's all like real.
I think the originality was more in the execution. Like I get that this like trope of like somebody's lost and this thing happens and they get back to their house. That's been done countless times, but the way that they did it was so unique that that's why it gets a 10. And the only other one I've given 10 for originality is Donnie Darko. So,
Dang, I gave it a 7.
wow.
I gave it so much. I gave it a lot lower than you guys.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I just thought the whole imagining, like, I don't know. It reminds me of like almost The Notebook because he's trying to help this lady remember by telling stories about their past and stuff. And at the same time, you're right. The way it was executed, I've never seen before. But it just reminds me of like that imaginary friend, and then at the end of the movie, they find out it wasn't real the whole time or something like that.
Yeah.
And I guess it depends on your interpretation of the movie. And I was led to believe that he probably was dead the whole time because like nobody ever saw him alive. So I don't know. But I get it. I maybe I should have given it higher.
Also, I'm not letting The Notebook go quite yet because I was listening to an episode of The Rewatchables, which is a podcast that The Ringer does on movies, and they did one on The Notebook. So I listened to it to hear how different they thought of it than ours. Obviously, they thought of it higher than us because theirs is like, this is a rewatchable movie. I'm not sure that I would consider The Notebook a rewatchable movie, but anyway, they were saying that the old people were the worst part of the movie, and that I was completely disagreed with that. I liked whenever we were with the old people in The Notebook, and I hated being with the Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams characters because they were so unlikable, but they were likable as old people. I don't know. That's just my rant on The Notebook.
Maybe this movie is kind of like The Notebook in a way, like in many ways.
Okay, I don't understand that. How does this movie like compare to The Notebook of all movies?
Yeah.
I
don't know. But now that we got to our biggest disagreement so far, originality, now we'll go to acting, which we might agree upon a little bit more.
So I thought it was pretty well acted. I thought Daniel Radcliffe did a pretty good job, even though the role was kind of like stupid, I guess. Like, just, I don't know. But I gave it a 7. I just thought it was solid acting from both. I mean, there was some like cheesy parts where there was acting like, but I think for the script that they had, they did pretty well. Like, I think they encompassed the characters, those kooky characters, well. What about you, Caleb?
I gave acting a 7. I just thought they did a pretty good job. I mean, it didn't stand out to me. I thought they interacted well with each other. I thought it was like definitely a great selection for the cast for those two characters. I feel like a lot of the time, some of that stuff was definitely made up on the spot. Like, it had to be, in my opinion. Yeah, like I felt like there was definitely a lot of improv going on. I'm not completely sure, but I mean, I just got that feel. So
I gave it
7.
I gave it an 8. I think Daniel Radcliffe, that was a harder role to play than some people might think, just because of like, I don't know, it would be hard to act like sort of alive but sort of dead. I mean, I'm sure they did things that made it look more realistic, but it's a challenging. It's like sort of him proving his acting chops, I guess. Like, I've never watched Harry Potter, and I assume he's good in Harry Potter, but people might be like, oh, it's Harry Potter, of course he's good, because everyone likes Harry Potter. But so he has to go out and do something that's like difficult to prove himself. And I think he did that. And Paul Dano is his second best role that I've watched him, and obviously he is much better. Maybe not much better, but he's better in There Will Be Blood, which is a really good movie, and much better than this movie in all categories. Besides maybe original, I don't know. But
I think it's funny that we're movie podcasters and neither of us have seen the Harry Potter franchise.
Yeah, we'll have to. I don't. If somebody wants us to do it bad enough, we'll figure out a way to do it. But it would take a little bit of motivation.
Caleb's a big fan.
I do like Harry Potter. It would be difficult to do on this though, because like there's 8 movies and you have to watch all 8 of them.
Yeah, I feel like I would have to do them all in a row is the problem.
Yeah, I got school and a job, it's just like, I don't think I got time. I got to watch other shows like Breaking Bad and the Clone Wars.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna start break. So The Office is leaving Netflix, which is sad because I haven't finished it, but I'm gonna finish season 6, and then we'll call that good for a little bit. But I'll probably start Breaking Bad, which, because you have to have a show on Netflix because you can download episodes, and then I'll go back to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and maybe Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I don't know. I haven't watched that in a
I would
while.
wait on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There are better shows out there, but I really like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But
Yeah.
you have a lot to watch, Ben.
Yes, I do have a lot to watch. Um. Okay, so style. This one shouldn't be too hard. I don't think there's a
I
ton to
really
say.
like the style because I think this is probably where I took the originality score and put it into here. So I gave it a 7 again, which for me is good, just because I really like the way that they, as you said, executed it, and like the style of the movie was more like it was a mystery and a comedy at the same time. So like it's really funny, but you're also like, what is happening? Like, is this something deeper going on? So I think that way was cool. So yeah. What about you, Caleb?
I gave the style a 7.5.
Ooh. Decimals.
Yeah, I just thought it was. I don't really know how to rate style. I guess I don't know. Like I thought it was cool. I thought it was an interesting concept, and I definitely could compare the style to the originality. But I mean, I didn't want to give it too high a score because I don't know exactly how to rate the style. I guess so. I gave it a 7.5.
I gave style a 7, so pretty close. And yeah, it's good, and it draws you into the movie, and all of the wood cutouts and stuff, and I keep mentioning those are great. But as far as, and A24 definitely has a like distinct style within the movies that they produce. So A24 is a production company like Disney or something, not as big, but they tend to produce these like smaller independent movies, and they all sort of have this feel of being focused on more like two characters versus being focused on a cast. So I think that is seen in this movie. But I would rank this movie 6th out of the 7 A24 movies I've
lower.
seen. Yeah, it's fairly low. The only movie I would rank lower than this one and this isn't maybe going to be popular, but I would rank Midsummer as my least favorite
Ooh, so
A24 movie.
controversial.
I don't know. I just didn't like it. It was weird and not in a good way. So don't watch Midsummer unless you really like, unless you must. Like, I just don't feel like it's a movie. I would give that movie a botch probably. But I haven't
Unless you
seen.
like force yourself.
Yeah, it's weird. But so are all A24 movies. The Lobster is my favorite one, I think. Yeah,
That's your number one?
yeah. I can
Wow.
go to. And pretty close is Good Time, which I am a huge fan of. And let's see. My list goes just to fill in the time. I don't know why. The Lobster is 1. Good Times 2. Uncut Gems is 3. The Disaster Artist is 4. Mid-90s is 5th, and then Swiss Army Man and Midsummer. All of those movies are very well made, but like 2 of them made my top 25. So I think A24 is like where you go to see the best of independent cinema. So if you don't know, and they're kind of all over the place. Like you can watch them on Netflix, Showtime, Canopy if you have access to that. Like there's a lot of places you can watch the movies. So that's my plug. That's my free advertising for A24. Please
Please pay us.
Please pay us next time. All right. So score. This was an interesting
Okay.
score.
It was very interesting. So I guess it depends. This is more an opinion based one because it's whether or not you liked acapella, because the whole movie was acapella sung, and I think that was really cool. So I actually gave it a 7 because I mean it's not like well made songs, but it's like creative. I guess it's cool. I
Yeah.
liked it a lot. They did a good job like dubbing all the parts together, which I think that Hank played all the parts in like the intro song. So that was
Yeah.
pretty cool. So, and then like Manny gets a lot into it too. He starts humming and singing eventually in the movie, but it's all a cappella.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. I gave it a 7 just because I really liked all the acapella stuff, but it was kind of repetitive and annoying at some points, but it was fine. I liked it. I really like the one where they're cooking the popcorn though. Popcorn.
Pop, pop, pop. Oh yeah, that was good. I gave it an 8.
Pop, pop, pop. Isn't that Pennywise?
Wait, I haven't watched it.
Pop, pop, pop. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
I gave it an 8, and maybe it was just because the Jurassic Park theme was so catchy. Because of all, me and Zach kept humming the Jurassic Park theme after the movie was over. But no, I thought the acapella was a very creative way. It must have been, and I like how it transitioned. Like they would start humming, and then it would like become the soundtrack, like as they kept humming it. That was cool. Definitely not like most scores you'll see in movies. So maybe I'm rating it a little high because of originality, but it is what it is. All right, and our final, I think this is our final category, is choreography. Yes.
Okay, so I think this is my highest. I give it a 9.
Wow.
And let me explain to you why. When I think of choreography, this is what I thought. Okay, all of the creative ways that they used Daniel Radcliffe's body. Okay, they used him, as Caleb said, as a gun. They used him to chop wood, to hammer in stuff. Like they used his head to hammer in like pegs, his arms and legs to chop wood. They used his mouth for like a shower and like for like springs of water. And then like even like it was just so creative. Like all the movement scenes.
His beard with his teeth.
Yeah, he shaved. Yeah, that was pretty funny. And like he used him as a jet ski in the first scene. And so that was kind of. I just thought that was really cool because
that's true.
I thought that was creative, and that's like movement. So I guess the choreography kind of went with that movement. So yeah.
No, yeah, I would say the same thing. Like I love the way they use his body. I don't know why, but I started out with giving it a 5, and then I was like, wait a second. No, that was definitely like higher, and so I ended up giving it an 8. But yeah, even like the weird, like just flopping around parts where they're like, that had to be hard. Like, especially like, I'm not sure like what exactly he was carrying around that whole time.
Isn't that all he does in Harry Potter anyway? Just flop around on his broomstick.
Daniel Radcliffe hasn't changed a bit.
But like, even like Paul Dano,
Dano, I think.
Dano, yeah. He was dragging that body around everywhere, and so I mean, that probably took some energy.
It's funny because he was friends with Manny even before Manny was known to be alive. Like he was like cradling that dead body and like singing to it, a very vulgar song that apparently his mom sang to him when he was little, and it was really hilarious and creepy and like demented at the same time because he's just like sleeping right next to this dead body in a cave and like cradling it and talking to it. Enough said. I don't know. It was creepy.
Yeah. I gave it a 7. I think I might have taken for granted. You're right. Zach made some very good points about how creatively they used Daniel Radcliffe's body. So maybe I underscored it a bit, but it was definitely good choreography. I guess maybe since it's not an action movie, it threw me off. But yeah. It was good, and the dancing scenes they had actual choreography with dancing, in the party scene where he was like controlling. He had him like. He was
like a puppet.
Yeah, he was like a puppet. Yeah. We're gonna take that pause. I'm gonna edit it. It's gonna sound like very smooth instead of sounding so awkward. But now we just explained to everybody that there was an awkward pause. So maybe.
Hey, but it's not our fault. We're on Zoom once again, so
yeah,
unfortunately.
Maybe I'll just leave it in, or maybe I'm just not good at reacting to things. I don't know.
It's okay. You have to leave in that awkward moment if you leave in my stupidity of for not hearing you say The Notebook.
Oh yeah, and if I leave in the part about where I said I was a soft farter or whatever.
Oh yeah, your family's gonna love that one.
Yeah, they are. Hey guys.
And they're gonna be wondering. They're gonna be like, they're finally gonna realize like what the smell was that entire time. Like your dad was looking through the vents and everything, but it was just you.
Yeah. Okay. What are the final scores?
Okay, my final score added up to be a 70%, which is high for me. So I really enjoyed this movie. It had its flaws. It had some character moments that I didn't like, and some weird. The plot wasn't my favorite, but I gave it a 70. What about you, Caleb?
I gave it a 67.5. I honestly thought it would be higher for me because I really, really enjoyed the movie. So I'm surprised mine was so low. Yeah, honestly, if I was to rate it just like based off of how much I enjoyed it, I'd probably give it like a 75 or an 80.
I gave it a 72 total, which is actually a little bit higher than I was expecting. So I guess if you even Caleb thinking his was going to be higher and me thinking mine was going to be lower, we'll hit the jackpot. But yeah, it's a well-made movie, so it's hard to and it's original. The plot and the first three categories were really the only things dragging down the score for me. So
Same.
the plot, character arcs, and sentiment. But everything else, I mean, maybe it's not sentimentally a movie that I would watch a lot or like a ton, but I think it's like pretty decent. So if you're in the mood for a strange experience, pop this into your Netflix.
Yeah, it's kind of like those rides that like spin you really fast at like Cedar Point or something like that.
Yeah.
Like those ones that just go in circles. Like you got to try it once, like to see what it's like. But after that, like don't do it again. It just makes you sick.
Yeah, exactly. It's like check it off the list, you know. But
Yeah.
if you guys watch Eraserhead, you'll be like, this movie was so normal. I'm telling you, we'll have to watch it sometime.
Okay.
Wait,
So,
oh
yeah.
sorry, we have to get into Brita moments, right? Brita moments with Brita. I need a professional musician to make that jingle. Maybe Brita. Maybe we
Yes.
should get Jillian Jacobs. We should DM her on Instagram every day. Please make us a jingle for your character that we think is bad.
And we can put in parentheses like we know it's gonna be really bad. Just go along with it.
Yeah, that would actually make it better for us.
Yeah.
But I think there's actually sort of a lot here in the Brita moments. Like we talked about, how did he get to the shore at the end of the movie so fast when it took him so long to get to where he was seeing people? How did he make all those things in the woods? Obviously, that's probably not supposed to be realistic, but still, it was.
How was he walking right after he got bit by a bear like really hard on his foot? It like cut his leg open.
Yeah, that.
And he was like walking right after that.
Um,
I mean, he was carried to the house, but then like right after that, he's fine. You know, he just
Yeah.
starts walking and he runs to the beach and everything. So, yeah,
Yeah, he also like in the beginning of the movie he's on like some deserted island and then somehow he ends up on the beach right behind the house where the girl he likes is living. So I don't really get
yeah.
that.
It was kind of strange how Manny found her house. Also,
Yeah.
like if he doesn't have any recollection of how society works, like even if he found an address on the phone, how could he find her house and like how was it right next to where they were and how like is that a coincidence? Like, and then like they didn't even explain the island in the beginning, like Caleb said. Like they didn't explain why he was on the island, who he is, even like they didn't explain either character. Which of course it could be open for interpretation, but it was kind of interesting because it seemed like they were setting it up so they were going to explain that, but they didn't.
Yeah, and I
then
think
the dad.
yeah, the dad. That's what I was gonna bring up. You're right. The dad character was not well executed. I don't think.
Yeah, he just comes back. He's like, "What are you doing, son?" Like they haven't. He makes the audience believe that like we are the audience, by the way. That like he hasn't been seen. They haven't seen each other in like many years because they just send those emails. And then all of a sudden he's like, "What are you doing, son?" And he's like watching his son talk to this dead body. And then like he looks to his dad for affirmation. And he shakes his head, yes.
Also, his dad is like when he's talking to the dead body. If one of my family members was talking to a dead body, I would be concerned and like worried about their health. He was like, "You're embarrassing me and our family." I'm like, "Is that your first concern? Like you thought you were crying because you thought your son was dead, and now you're like worried that he's embarrassing you. Like he's been in the wilderness. At least like he could be going crazy. I mean, that's somewhat logical. Why is everybody so shocked that he's been gone and lost for forever? Why is everybody like, why is he acting strange? I would think when you've been outside of society for so long, of course you're acting weird.
And that stupid news lady was like trying to force him into an interview like a
Yeah.
few minutes after he just got back.
Does that
Like,
happen? Did they let the news? I feel he did, had he even gotten medical attention at that point? He got bit
I
by a
don't think
bear,
so.
and
Jeez.
I think his ankle was broken or torn or something. I don't know. That,
It was
that
pretty bloody.
most of our problems come from the start and end of the movie. The middle's pretty Loctite.
Yeah, I wish it was. I kind of wish. I think this would have been a better movie if they didn't have the whole coming back to society and they just kind of lived in the woods together, not knowing if he's
I
crazy or
would not
not.
have liked that, just
I-
because like there wouldn't have been any conclusion.
Yeah, but there's no
This is
conclusion
just
now
like-
anyway.
and the
It's not
point-
conclusion that we wanted.
And the point is that Hank should live away from society forever. That is better for him. The end. No,
Well, I think it would have been a good lesson too. Like you can find friendship anywhere, you know. And they were
Even
in the middle of the
from-
jungle.
even from corpses. They. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're right. I mean, no, you're wrong.
Your imaginary friends are good enough. Zach, stop. No, never mind. No.
Ben was about to expose my imaginary friends to y'all, just so you know.
Meet Larry. No, I'm just kidding. Zach doesn't have
Tiffany, Larry, Benjamin. Oh wait, Benjamin. I'm sorry. I have an
Am I
imaginary
real?
friend.
Thomas Sawyer.
I feel like there's movies about people who like they think are real but aren't real. But I'm blanking out what other movies there are that are like that. I know there are out there somewhere.
Yeah, spoiler warning for the movie The Sixth Sense.
Oh,
But The Sixth Sense.
yeah. I would say more, but I really don't want to ruin the ending for people. And and then Christopher Robin was another movie that I didn't think executed this quite how it could have, because spoiler alert for Christopher Robin. At the end of,
We should give him 3 seconds to do the 30-second. You know, how there's 15 seconds you can skip on Apple and
yeah.
Spotify. So 3, 2, 1. That's your chance to skip it. Okay, go.
All right, so in Christopher Robin, I just watched it. At the end of the movie, his daughter and his wife find out that the animals can actually talk, and so Christopher Robin is no longer imagining the creatures; they are actually real. And I thought that was not a way to handle how they should have
That's
handled
not
the
how
movie.
it is in the books. Like the old.
No, he should have still been pretending, and they got him through the situation because he was still pretending they were real. Maybe he would show his daughter how to pretend, but when his wife got involved and other people, I just was like, no, this. And yeah, he Winnie the Pooh was like talking to like taxi drivers and stuff. Like no, that the movie was good because it was a serious Christopher Robin movie, like for adults kind of. But the ending kind of like threw it off. But that's maybe we'll review that movie at some point, but that's my Christopher Robin rant. Anyway, we are back. So if you have skipped the spoiler of Christopher Robin, we spoiled a lot of movies on this that aren't the movies that we're reviewing. I spoiled Ocean's 12 once.
Such a popular one.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh yeah, I was bummed when he was talking about Ocean's 12. But let's see. Stock market. I mean, I guess I'd buy stock in Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe. Paul Dano's gonna be.
I don't know if
Paul Dano's gonna be in
What?
Batman.
Oh, really?
He's the Riddler. Yeah,
With our favorite actor.
with our patron saint of the movie vault, Robert Pattinson.
Oh my gosh, we're reviewing that the next day. We have to be the official podcast for that movie because it's our favorite actor.
I think we have to be the official Robert Pattinson. Like we need to do another Robert Pattinson movie, and we need to every Robert Pattinson movie we need to like hype up. I'm being bad at this because I don't actually know other than Batman what he's going to be in. Well, he was in Tenet. We reviewed Tenet, so we set a precedent. We didn't really review.
Yeah, we
it.
did Good Time in Tenet.
Yeah, we watched Tenet when it came out. So yeah, I mean, Paul Dano, I think is I think he's a respected character actor. I don't think he'll ever be like a lead man or anything. But so we need to watch The Devil All the Time with Tom Holland.
With Tom Holland.
I was
Yeah.
actually going to suggest that tonight. but I decided this movie instead.
Okay. Well, we'll have to review The Devil All the Time for our undying support of Robert Pattinson. But, because he's so good. Which is weird, because when he was announced as Batman, I didn't think he was that good. Oh, and we need to watch The Lighthouse. That's another A24 movie with Robert Pattinson. Anyway, now I'm getting sidetracked. There's not really a lot of other people to buy stock in other than A24. I mean, I'd buy stock in them, I guess.
Yeah, I'll put $52.63 in them.
Yeah. But maybe they've peaked. You watched Hereditary, right? That's an A24.
I did.
That's A24.
I did not know that. That one I actually liked. It's kind of eerie, and I like the soundtrack in that one.
They do a lot.
Like,
A24 does a lot of psychological horror movies. So, like I said, Midsummer, that's one of those. I didn't like it, but maybe there's other ones that are better. And other than that, like, I guess the cameraman, I wouldn't buy stock in him. The girl, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she was good enough, but I don't know. She was not like anything special, I don't think, unless they make Swiss Army Woman, of course, with Tina Fey.
Yeah, the
And,
sequel.
Are we rooting
It's
for?
always a good idea making a sequel of a successful franchise.
And the directors, it's kind of weird because I don't know if they've done any other movies together or whether they've done them all separately. So I don't know whether I'd buy stock in them, but they seem like good independent movie directors. So
The Daniels.
they're known as the Daniels.
Nice.
Oh, actually, they have directed. They directed the Death of Dick Long. Wait, that's not the movie I'm thinking of. I don't think. Yeah, that might not be the one I'm thinking of. Oh, I'm thinking of the death of.
Hope not.
I'm thinking of the death of Dick Johnson, but that's a different movie. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Next. What's up next?
Let's see. Oh, let's go to feedback. Have we gotten any feedback? I don't think we have. No,
Well, we responded to. Oh, go ahead.
We got a suggestion from Zach's brother to do the SpongeBob movie, so we might do that sometime, I guess, since he kindly asked. So shout out to Blake.
Yep.
I read
thank
your
you,
email.
Blake. Wait, read what his email said. It's kind of strange.
And I have to pull it up. Let's see.
Let's see whose phone is faster.
His email says, "Bro, do SpongeBob the movie, the first one, though. K, period." And his
Hey, at least he's good in his grammar.
his account is a turtle. So, yeah, Blake, we might just do it sometime, because you nicely asked.
Hey, Turtle Boy.
And he also gave us our only written review on iTunes. So if anybody else wants to join Blake in the cool club of people who have written us reviews, like actually wrote a review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, and rate us, hopefully high, then go ahead and do that. Because, well, Apple Podcasts is kind of stupid because people either rate things 5s or 1s. So please, I guess just give us a 5. I don't know. Do whatever you want, but write something, I guess, maybe, if you want to. That would be cool.
Yes. And also, it's not funny when friends give us ones as a joke, because this is our livelihood. This is what pays the bills, you know?
Yeah, we are banking our educations on this. And if it's not successful, we will become riddled in debt and we will beg you for money, those of you who gave us 1 stars. Okay.
You know who you are.
You know who you are.
She probably doesn't listen to it anyway. It doesn't matter. All right, move on.
Okay, what are your
You know who you are.
final thoughts and conclusions on this movie?
Okay, so I originally thought this movie was like a serious movie after kind of watching the trailer, but then Caleb you kind of said it's more of a comedy. And I really enjoyed it more as a comedy. I think it fit as a comedy. For the deeper meanings that it went for, as you said, it kind of was diminished by the comedy. But overall, I'm going to say comedy so many times. The comedy aspect of this movie was the best part, I would say, along with the interesting storytelling and the interesting characters and how their actors portrayed them. So I really liked this movie, and I think it deserves a 70%, which is really good for me, and actually from you too. So, yeah.
Although I've given a lot more 70%. Go ahead, Caleb.
What about you, Ben?
Okay.
Sorry, what?
I guess I'll go. This one is sort of the law of diminishing returns. The more fart jokes, the less funny it gets. He talks a lot about the law of diminishing returns. That's why I brought it up. Hank does. But no, seriously, it is definitely better as a comedy. I agree, because it's sort of trying to do this thing where it's like a very serious movie, but it utilizes very like off kilter and immature, or would be considered immature, I guess, humor, even though it's trying to make the point that it shouldn't be immature. I don't know. It's sort of all over the place in that. But what it does give is a heartfelt story about two people, one who is alive and one who is dead, who make a friendship that is very meaningful. Go ahead, Caleb.
Yeah, again, I agree. I definitely think this movie is better as a comedy than as a serious movie, but I feel like the serious aspect was definitely diminished, like on purpose. I think because or else they probably wouldn't have had that scene at the end, because
Yeah,
that
that's
just
true.
felt like wholeheartedly just as like a complete joke. So like it might have felt like they were going towards a more serious side, but then it just like went downhill and back to the comedic aspects. And so I think it's definitely intended to make a joke out of like the serious aside.
You know,
But
I do think this parallels another movie. Spoiler alert for the movie Soul. 3, 2, 1. It's just like Soul, because it's a dead guy and a live person becoming friends. You can have life. I guess you can have friendship beyond death. That's what we've learned in 2020.
Yeah, and I think that's everything. This is also our longest podcast ever.
Oh my gosh.
We keep breaking our record Actually, last week we didn't technically break our record, but an hour and 8 minutes, guys. But as long as we have good things to say, hopefully people are willing to listen to us. So that's what I'm gonna go with. There's a lot to
okay,
talk about with
overall,
this
I love the
movie.
movie.
Yeah, we all liked it, and Caleb loved it. So,
I loved it.
I loved it, actually.
which is good
I loved it a lot.
because he
If the movie makes me cry, I like it.
Good or bad.
Good or bad crying. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Laughing with tears. That's always a good
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
it is now time for me to give the social media plugs. Instagram at the Movie Vault, Twitter at Movie Vault, the email where you can send us anything, not anything, but anything within reason that you would like to send us. The Movie Vault Pod at gmail.com. If you don't send us, we will prosecute people who send us weird things. Let's see.
We have a good team of lawyers on our side. Don't worry.
Yeah, we actually do.
Mm-hmm.
And next week, I think I think Kenzie's gonna be on the podcast.
We've said that for weeks, but actually we didn't. We just said we have a special guest.
Kenzie keeps
Caleb is a special guest.
Kenzie keeps
Kenzie's
dipping. Kenzie keeps dipping on us, so maybe at some point next week she will be on the podcast. And if she's not, don't get too disappointed, because if you are trying not to be disappointed, don't put your faith in Kenzie being on the podcast. But she might. And if she's not, I guess we'll figure something else out. Yeah, that's all. And now it's time to close the vault.
Do I close the roll?
Of course.
Caleb does. Yeah.
Okay.